has finally arrived, and so has the first episode of our NFL betting show. Abby Labar, Chris Meaney, Mike Randle here with you guys all season long, and we are so pumped. I feel like we're always anticipating the start of NFL season, and then it literally hits us right in the face. Guys, an exciting slate of games this weekend into Monday. What do we have circled?
Oh, we have a ton circled right now, Abby. This is great. I'm here with Chris Meaney, the star of Sirius XM Radio, yourself who's been killing it here at FTN so far. We are going to cover so much for you here. We're going to give you the odds. We're going to talk sides and totals. But the key to what we do at FTN is our projections and our model. So what we're going to do is take the numbers in our projections and give you an edge early in the week so you can look at your favorite props. We can talk sides, totals, props, whatever you want. FTN, your one-stop shop here. FTN bets, fantasy, daily, whatever you want covered, we have it. I can't wait to get started, guys.
Man, you got me fired up. That's for sure. Yeah, it's week one. It's finally here. Abby, you're right. All the off-season prep to get to this point. Week one, we got matchups, we got spreads. And yeah, just to echo Mike, we're going to show off a lot of tools and things that will help you find edges for sports betting. That's what we're here for. We're going to talk spreads, totals. We're going to dive into props, use our projections, really already seeing. I just love the prop shop. It's a free tool right away that I'd love to get into. We'll have a link inside the description of this video to check out. It's the best. Abby, it's like Google search.
I love it.
Search a player's name and you have all different numbers, and it'll save you a lot of time. Hopefully, give you extra cash in your pocket, and it's a great tool. And we'll talk about it a lot here on the show.
We all love a little extra cash, right? Okay, so betting aside, fantasy aside, all that, I just want to know, games specifically. Both of you guys, give me a game you have your eyes on. Just as an NFL fan, what are you fired up to watch this weekend?
First one for me is Cleveland, Cincinnati. That's what I'm focusing on because we know about the division underdogs and how they bite. And I know, Chris knows this, I am very sensitive to home underdogs. I believe in that strongly. Last year, we've seen this. Cleveland, Cincinnati have gone back and forth. The underdog has dominated this series. And if you look back to the way the stats have been with these two, it's very interesting. Since 2014, divisional underdogs are 31-12-2 against the spread. That's 72%. That's what we're looking at here. It's the old, people remember back to Sam Weish back in whenever it was. He yelled at the fans, you don't live in Cleveland, you live in Cincinnati. This is a rivalry. It is a heated rivalry, and I can't wait for this. Burrow looks like he's going to play. Deshaun Watson is back with a full preseason. A lot of storylines there, guys.
And that's an upset right off the hop that I feel like we could see, right? Money line and 2.5 in favor of Cincinnati, but Cleveland's a really tough place to go play. It's a fun place to go watch a football game. Shout out to the Mooney Lot. It's one of the best tailgates experiences I've ever had, but that's certainly a game I'm looking forward to. San Fran Pittsburgh's a game that I'm looking forward to. I know Kenny Pickett and the Steelers have a lot of buzz this season, basically perfect throughout the preseason, and the Niners are, Super Bowl aspirations. So that's a game I'm looking forward to seeing as well. A lot of cool storylines. We have a lot of rookie quarterbacks, right? We'll get into Anthony Richardson and in his matchup. It's a home debut, tough sledding for maybe CJ Stroud for his first NFL start. Being in Baltimore against the Ravens, they're 10-point dogs. It's the largest spread of the slate. And then another game I want to shout out is Miami and LA. We have a high total here, over 50. Should be fun offense back and forth as you see there, the matchups. And we've already seen some line movement with the Chiefs and the Lions, with Travis Kelce being questionable to suit up in that game, 4.5 too. So there's a lot of week one is always bonkers, always crazy. There's usually an upset or two, people getting bounced in Survivor right away, but man, it should be a fun game, fun weekend. And that Chargers Miami, that Dolphins, Abby, that one's, if you like offense, I think we'll see it.
Of course, Justin Herbert got that extra money in his pocket. He better be playing well. Okay, the one game you guys didn't mention, the most basic one that everyone's obviously fired up for, the game after Sunday on Monday night, Bills, Jets. So much anticipation around this. And Randall, I know you have some thoughts when it comes to this as we kind of dive into our props and the projections there. But look, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, I've been watching Hard Knocks just like everybody else in the world. Are the Jets overrated? I don't know. I'm a big fan of Garrett Wilson. Regardless, I think this is going to be a huge test for Josh Allen, obviously, to start the season against this Jets defensive line that just can really irritate a quarterback. So what are you looking at when it comes to this game specifically?
Well, specifically, I'm going to start right off at my first prop here. First one I'm looking at is Buffalo comes to town to face the Jets, Abby. This team is the betting favorite. The New York Jets, the apocalypse is upon us to win the Super Bowl. This game carries a 46.5-point over-under, yet the last 8 games between these two AFC East rivals have only averaged 36.5 points, including a skewed 45-17 trouncing with Buffalo in 2021. What that means, it's a rivalry game. They're going to battle. They're going to keep the scoring low. Now, who do we have for the Jets? We have Aaron Rodgers under center. He prefers to run an offense at a snail's pace. Last year, per FTN pace and play calling tool, Packers dead last in seconds per play, 29.6, beating out slogs such as San Francisco and Atlanta. This wasn't a one-year trend with them either, guys. Back in 2021, Rodgers, Green Bay, dead last again at 30.2 seconds per snap. He drives a bus and he's riding in the slow lane with my parents on the highway. He is not going to push the pace. It's going to stay slow. It's going to be competitive. So the prop I'm looking at here is I'm looking at Josh Allen under 255.5 passing yards on points bet minus 115. Josh Allen, when he has gone against the Jets, the defense has done their job. And I put this out on Twitter here talking about it. If you look at Josh Allen in the 33 games he's been in the NFL, he's averaged 272 passing yards per game. Against the Jets, last 4 matchups, 239.3. This line is too high. It's going to be a battle. Sauce Gardner on Diggs. Jets defense is legit. Second fewest points allowed last year per game in the league, trailing only San Francisco. Last year, 2 games Josh Allen against the Jets, 205 passing yards and 147 passing yards and under a 60% completion percentage both times. Game is on the road. It's not at home in Buffalo. I'm going to Josh Allen here, Abby, 255.5 passing yards.
All right, look, you're the numbers guru, but I got another one for you that you actually didn't hit. I'm surprised. 121 quarterback hits for the Jets, first in the NFL last year. So, boom, take that. Meaney, what are you looking at as your first prop?
I just want to talk a little bit more about that one too and tie it Aaron Schatz, right? Because he's a big hire for us over at ftnbets.com. And I know that Schatz is big on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. He said this is the year for Josh Allen and the Bills to get to the Super Bowl and get it done. And last year he called the Philadelphia Eagles going to the Super Bowl. So I know he knows a thing or two. Mike, I don't know if you feel like the Bills are finally ready. I agree with you. Josh Allen has definitely struggled against this Jets defense, and it will be a big test for him. And tying in Schatz here, we have the early bird special over at ftnbets.com included with the betting package, as you see here, projections that we've been talking about, a lot of free tools, but a lot of greatness with this package, Discord channel. It's all there included. The DVOA god, is he not? The creator of DVOA, and he is part of the FTN family now. And you see the Almanac, the 2023 player, all the profiles included in there. Over 500 player profiles in there, excuse me. It's all included there in the package as well. Look at that deal until September 12th at midnight, $199.99. So, man, I got to go back to you though, Mike. Is he correct? Are you siding with Mr. Schatz, the Bills? This is finally their time?
Chris, we put that article out here on FTN. We made our predictions, and I predicted the Bills to make the Super Bowl. I'm with Aaron. It doesn't mean, though, that they're going to come out and destroy the Jets in week 1. No. It's mutually exclusive. We've seen teams who've struggled in week 1. Sometimes they're great. They go the other way. Everything is a separate entity. And in this one, in this rivalry, Meadowlands fired up. I don't think he's going to be throwing that much. I do like my guy, James Cook. You know that, Chris. But in this game for passing, I don't like him. But I do like the Bills this year. I do.
I like the Bills too. And speaking of DVOA and Schatz, I know that they graded pretty high offensively and defensively. So did the Jags last year offensively, taking them right here at 4.5, a road game. I don't know if this is this a trap? I'm not really sure. I get it. It's a divisional game. It's on the road against the Colts. There's some buzz here with this Indianapolis squad. Steve Steichen, now the head coach in Indy, first-time head coach, did great things with Jalen Hurts, did great things with Herbert as a rookie. I'm sure he's going to do good things here with Anthony Richardson, but this is a little bit of both sides. So for me, again, prop shop, parlay calculator, there's a 4.5 out there. It's at FanDuel. There's mostly 5s across, but take the 4.5. it's a similar price at -110. Jacksonville last year averaged 23.8 points per game. It was a top 10 mark. They have a 25.5 team applied total here this weekend. That is the 6th highest on the slate. And the Colts, the opposite, 17 points per game. Only the Denver Broncos had scored fewer points per game last year. Now, Anthony Richardson, I'm excited about him.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be fun for fantasy. I think he's going to have some highlight reel moments. The way that he can avoid a sack, his elusiveness was certainly on full display in the preseason, and he balled out, at the combine. He did things that no other quarterback has ever done. But the preseason, he didn't look that great. 5 yards per attempt. That was 40th out of 41 quarterbacks with at least 25 pass attempts, 45% completion rate, 0 touchdowns, 13 starts in college. That's it. He's very raw. That's the fewest by a first-round quarterback since 2002. It's over 20 years ago here. So he's going to have to keep up. I know that they want to run the football with some design runs, which is something that they didn't do at all really in the preseason. Steichen's going to do a good job with him having some design runs, but he's going to have to throw the football. There's no Jonathan Taylor. It's a mess in the backfield at the moment. They struggled last year without Jonathan Taylor. And Trevor Lawrence in this offense, as I said, they can compete with anybody in the NFL. Lawrence has won 6 of his last 7 games dating back to last season. We saw the jump in year 2 with Doug Peterson as the head coach. They add a guy in Calvin Ridley. I'm not seeing any props yet in terms of catch props, but I am completely in. I see plus 155 touchdown. These guys are going to hook up early and often. It's his new shiny toy. I'm excited about the Jags this season. So, long story short, I don't know, probably not, but I'm on them, and I think they win by a touchdown. So,
I'm Team Jags. I'm also a little biased because I lived in Jacksonville last year, so I took the Jags under my wing. It's like, hey, I'm going to be a Jags fan for this season because I'm here. Anthony Richardson fires me up, but I think you're totally valid in all these points. I think my question for both of you guys would be the Colts lack the depth, I think, as when you look at the offense as a whole. So are they able to sustain the drives to keep the defense off the field? Because if that defense gets worn down when you're talking about the talent that's on the Jags offense, I think the Jags are going to have more of the upper hand if Anthony Richardson and the offense can't really keep it going for them. I mean, what are your thoughts there, Randall?
Yeah, Chris is right. And number of interceptions that Trevor Lawrence has thrown in his career against the Colts, zippo. He has never thrown an interception.
Is that saying something? Because he does have some turnover issues.
It is. Now, listen, my thoughts on Anthony Richardson. It's almost got me fired here from FTN that I've been a little cooler on him than most people. But I will say, Chris, I agree with you. I am high on the Jags. The one thing that worries me about this interdivision game favorite on the road is that backdoor cover late. But we always are going to risk that. But I agree. I'm high on the Jags. I'm high on Doug Peterson. Huge Tank Bigsby guy here, late round underdog best ball pick. So, yes, I agree with you, Abby. I think they're shorthanded. It's on the road, going to be frisky. I think Jags get the job done.
But it's a good point, Abby, to bring that up, because if Jacksonville is able to push the pace offensively like I think they can, I think that they can get to 30 points. Sure. Even the divisional game, first game, I believe that they can, get to 30 points. So the Colts, I'm sure, will want to run the football. Like I said, only 3 designed runs for Anthony Richardson in that preseason, 1 in the final preseason game, and it went for 16 yards. That's what they're going to want to do. They're going to want to slow the pace down, try to have success running the football, not have him chucking the ball 40 times. But it's a tough spot for a rookie, and that Jags defense, they can really get after you. So if they want to extend some drives to kill some clock to keep Trevor Lawrence on the sidelines, they're going to have to throw the football, I think. And I don't know. I think there's going to be some rest in the first game.
Well, speaking of defense, the Titans, they're returning another stellar defense, especially when it comes to the run game. Randall, I know you have a specific prop here when it comes to that New Orleans-Tennessee game. No Alvin Kamara for the Saints. What does that mean? Is Jamal Williams overhyped, underhyped? Because I know all eyes are on him.
Yeah, let's do the knee-jerk reaction, guys, which is what we always want to avoid when we're looking at betting. Well, wait a minute. No Alvin Kamara. We don't know if Kendre Miller is going to be available. Jamal Williams is going to eat. That may be the case. He's not going to eat on the ground. Guys, I am fading Jamal Williams against this Titan rushing attack. I have Jamal Williams here going under his rushing yardage prop. You take a look at it. It was out there. I was trying to find it. Jamal Williams under 57.5 rushing yards available on DraftKings. Now, here's my thought. Harold Landry is back for Tennessee. This Tennessee Titan team got off to a great start last year, ended the season losing 7 games. So, of course, recency bias is really baked in here. This is a good Tennessee team. They're totally healthy. Landry's back on defense, and their rush defense was number 1 in DVOA. You could not run on them. Aaron Schatz, of course, giving us great insight here as always. So Jamal Williams with his 4.6 plotter speed, coming off his 17 touchdowns in Detroit last year. That doesn't mean he's going to go nuts on the ground. I think, Abby, he plays a lot. I think he catches passes out of the backfield. I think he gets some receiving yards. I do not think he's hitting 60 rushing yards against this Tennessee Titans defense. Their pass defense is weak. Maybe it means Derek Carr. I kind of like the Titans in this matchup from a side perspective, but I am fading Jamal Williams and his plotting. I love him as a person. Don't love him here as a rusher against the Tennessee Titans defense.
I just couldn't help but laugh at that. Love him as a person. Love Jamal Williams.
He's fun.
Great guy, Jamal Williams. I mean,
Which is so
he's
funny,
a great guy.
because I watched his presser like the other day, and he was like, just show up and do my job. Just show up and do my job. Like literally the same thing over and over. I'm like, give us a little more, Jamal. So that's hilarious that he's like, love him as a guy. Like, what do you know about Williams that I don't? I'm missing something here.
He could have 3 touchdowns in this game and 30 rushing yards. I just don't think he's going to accelerate on the ground. I also think Saints going to be playing from behind in this game.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I am interested. You think they're playing from behind? Okay. Mm-hmm. I think the Saints are going to win this game. I think it's going to be close. I do believe a lot of people underrate the Titans. Vrabel always has this team playing. Like, they're competitive, whether the secondary is, not living up to expectations or Ryan Tannehill struggling as a passer. They just always seem to be in games, and they really are impressive. But again, I will reference the prop shop. Plus 150 over at BetMGM for Jamal Williams to score a touchdown. You mentioned, Abby, no Alvin Kamara, no Kendre Miller. For example, FanDuel is hanging minus 140 for him to have a rushing touchdown. Plus 105 at DraftKings, plus 126 over at Caesars, and plus 150. That's a pretty big difference. That's why the prop shop is so valuable. I'm seeing some rushing numbers at 49. Randall, you're taking 57.5, which, of course, if you're going to take the under, why wouldn't you take that higher number? So I'm with you. I think he could struggle maybe running the ball and to exploit the defenses through the air. But I do believe, he is interesting. You said maybe 3 touchdowns. 3 touchdowns is 29-1.
Chris, I'm old enough to remember Mike Gillislee putting 3 in for the Patriots in week 1. I don't think he had 2 the rest of the season, but I was happy in week 1, so it can happen.
7-1 at BetMGM for 2. 3-1 at FanDuel for 2. Again,
that's a big, right?
Prop shop is a huge gap. Yeah, huge gap. Okay. I just had to jump in there. This may be a homer pick. I need you guys to back it up. Like, what are we doing here? Is this a trap? Belichick, he's never faced Jalen Hurts. Good defense. I mean, number 1 fantasy defense last year, if that matters, but good defense for sure. They can get after the quarterback. These are the reasons maybe to be concerned about the pick, because it has moved around a little bit. I've seen 3, 3.5, 4.5, 5. And I'm seeing 3.5 at the moment using the parlay calculator. So, new offensive coordinator. We mentioned Steve Steichen, gone from Philadelphia, now in Indianapolis. They have a new OC. They have a new defensive coordinator. That's tough for a team to overcome, like one offensive coordinator, like one coordinator, let alone 2. And I didn't like that Jalen Hurts didn't get any preseason reps. I would have personally liked to see him just have a drive or something like that. I'm sure maybe there's rest, maybe there's not. They had their reasons for doing it. But this is more about New England than anything. You're telling me the number 1 offensive squad in the NFC last season can't beat this Patriots team by 4 points? Mac Jones his job is he's hanging on. Bill O'Brien is brought in to fix him and fix the offense, and I think he's going to do a good job. But I have questions about their entire offense. I don't think that they'll have any success throwing on Slay or Bradbury. I think this is going to be a big Ramondre Stevenson, Randall's guy, leaving this game with like 5, 6, 7 grabs potentially. But Philly, I think defensively they can bring it. They were number 1 pass DVOA defense last season. The band is all back together. They brought them all back. There was some drama about bringing them back, but they brought them all back. The corners are intact. They still have guys that are going to get after the quarterback. Jalen Carter is a beast, and the offensive line is still intact as well. So it does feel a little weird that it's only 3.5. I think this number should be more 5.5, but I don't think we're going to see any movement. I don't know, Mike, if you want to chime in. I don't think we're going to see any more movement. I think 3.5. I don't think it's going to get to 3. I think 3.5 is the number, and it could maybe get to 4, 4.5, but I don't know.
I mean, people have been all high on, obviously, Ezekiel Elliott and Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, I'm sure that's part of the reason, because there's so much hype around the new offense for. But again, like how much can Mac Jones really do with these guys, especially in week 1? Like this is week 1 we're talking about. Like you got to get into a rhythm still. Preseason isn't enough. Randall, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, we have Juju Smith-Schuster knee, which supposedly could combust at any second. He put something on social media against the Eagles secondary a couple of years ago. So there's a lot of narratives here. It makes me nervous. Chris is right. He knows me very well. It makes me nervous on the road, giving Belichick points at home. However, the Eagles' offensive line is the best in football. They have a cadre of running backs here. Hurts is dynamic. He's a rushing quarterback, which can cause Belichick's defense some trouble. See Lamar Jackson, et cetera, et cetera. I'm with Chris. I like the Eagles here. I think the Patriots could score because I have some questions about the Eagles defense, which had a pretty easy schedule of opponents there, and I think they were exposed late. However, the Eagles offense is legit. The one thing I want to get Chris's opinion on, Christian Gonzalez, A.J. Brown. I think I'm fading A.J. Brown a little bit. That prop almost made this, but I'm afraid you tackled me here through the screen. You sure about A.J. Brown in this game, or think it'd be a more run-heavy approach? I'm curious.
I think Devontae's got the better matchup, and Devontae Smith really took off last year. A.J. Brown's first game with his old buddy Jalen Hurts last year, I think it was like 14 targets, double-digit catches. But from week 2 to week 18, they had the same amount of targets, almost 20 more catches for Devontae Smith. He really took off and got the trust. I mean, these guys, Hurts and Smith, had played together before in college. Like, they know each other very, very well. So I would fade that matchup. A.J. Brown, he can pop off at any minute. And he's very explosive in terms of a yard per catch kind of guy. But I think, if you're looking for a prop, Devontae Smith, maybe Dallas Goedert, using him in the middle of the slot. But this is a team that's been the best rushing team in football over the last 2 years. So I think that's probably baked into the line that they slow the pace down and run the rock a little bit. But I think if you're picking an Eagle wide receiver, it's Devontae week 1.
I'm with you. Great.
Okay, perfect segue. Talk about running the rock. Our boy CMC, Randall. I know you have your eyes on him. What are we thinking?
Folks, Christian McCaffrey. Do we know who Christian McCaffrey is? He's the most versatile running back in the NFL, catches the rock. But this guy is not someone who's going to pound it and just go into a tough Pittsburgh defense and ground out yardage. Christian McCaffrey under 63.5 rushing yards. He is not a high volume runner. When he joined the Niners last year from Carolina, 5 of his first 6 games with the Niners, he's under 67 rushing yards. 4 of those games under 40 rushing yards. He relies on big runs for his rushing total. Look at his game log. 25-yard run, 39-yard run. He's not going to plot it out. He's facing a Steelers defense that projects to again be elite against the run. Steelers, one of the 4 teams to allow under 100 rushing yards per game last year at home. Per Aaron Schatz's DVOA metric here at FTN, Pittsburgh 5th best in run defense DVOA. By the way, a lot of those games without TJ Watt, who is healthy. Steelers 8-2 straight up with Watt on the field. Let's take a look at how some of the running backs did against Pittsburgh with Watt on the field last year. Ready for this, guys? Joe Mixon, 27 for 82 in overtime. Alvin Kamara, 8 for 26. Mixon and P. Ryan combined 18 for 50. Chuba Hubbard, 4 for 10. I get it, Chris. Josh Jacobs, 15 for 44. They did struggle against J.K. Dobbins with the Ravens, explosive running back rivalry, and Jonathan Taylor, who is the Incredible Hulk. But this is not McCaffrey's game. The recent report, you guys know it, that Christian McCaffrey is going to share time, that the Niners are going to try to slow him down a little bit, keep him fresh. Elijah Mitchell. When Elijah Mitchell is active, Christian McCaffrey goes from 25 fantasy points per game to 17. Close game, slow-paced 49ers offense, similar to the Packers. Steelers defense on the road. Don't see it with CMC. We're going under rushing yards here with CMC 63.5. Tell me I'm wrong, guys.
No, I mean, this coming in hot fire with those numbers. And if we're thinking about, like, because there's a lot of good running backs you just mentioned, and the stat with Watt, and that's always been in the back of my mind. Like, this, when he is active and playing, this is a very elite defense, and Pittsburgh is a very tough place to play. We talked about Kenny Pickett off the top of the show and the work that he put in the preseason. Typically, seeing these quarterbacks, first-round quarterbacks, take that leap forward in year 2 we saw from Trevor Lawrence. It's an elite defense, and I believe those reports that they want to, like, this is a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. The NFC is top heavy. The Niners mean, Brock Purdy can struggle significantly this year, but their defense is so good and they have so many other weapons that they'll just like fall into wins. They want to keep CMC as fresh and healthy as possible. They really like Elijah Mitchell, despite, trading all that capital and getting CMC. You would think that they would just turn it over to him and it would be old CMC Carolina usage, like 20 plus opportunities. But Elijah Mitchell was getting sprinkled in last season, and I think he's going to get sprinkled in too. Love the call. And I want to know, Mike, if we're calling upsets, you mentioned Cleveland. Isn't this another potential upset as a West Coast team going over to the East Coast, an early start? Brock Purdy's coming off a significant elbow injury, and you just mentioned Watt and the defense. Like, I think we could see Steel City pull off a W.
Oh, Chris, I put out on the site here. Thank you for the segue, my friend. I'll pay you after. My money line underdog picks. And if you pick all three of these, you can see them right there on the graphic. If you pick all three of these, you get plus 1,200. Cleveland at home getting 2.5 against Cincinnati. Tennessee on the road getting 3 against New Orleans. And yes, I'm going with this one. Guys, Mike Tomlin as an underdog is outstanding. He's over 60% of his career. And as a home underdog, he's even better. Brock Purdy's first game back, CMC into the line. Forget it. J.J. Watt, Steel Curtain, Kenny Pickett right down the field. I love the Steelers in this matchup. Thank you, Chris, for setting me up.
Hey, I love Kenny Pickett. I covered him when he was in college at Pittsburgh and just like dialed in IQ, like high IQ. He just all around great guy. And it's same with like, he's similar to Daniel Jones, right? With the Giants, like those guys that are just going to continue to like work their way up in this game and just become better players because of their work ethic, because of their IQ. Team Kenny Pickett all the way. I'm with you on this, Randall. I like it.
So I got one more here for us, just and to wrap us up. For me personally, I've been talking about some favorites and road favorites here. So I'm gonna go against. We just talking about maybe some upsets here. I'm gonna take the Raiders at +4. I'm gonna have to win the game +4. Right? This is a game that I'm interested in. I'm interested with Sean Payton to see what he can really do with Russell Wilson. Of course, he called out Nathaniel Hackett. That was a big talking point, and these two teams will play, I believe, maybe in week 4 and 5. And that should be great. We'll definitely talk about it on the show. We'll dive into that drama. But I felt like he was kind of calling out Nathaniel Hackett, thinking originally Sean Payton, well, I can really fix Russell Wilson. I can turn this thing around. And we mentioned earlier they were dead last offensively. They were like, I don't know if George has the fire gift, like the dumpster, but this is something we talked about all the time on Mean Streets, like a live look of Russell Wilson in this offense. And it's already kind of started. Tim Patrick lost for the season, just like last year. Jerry Jeudy is sidelined with a hamstring injury. Cortland Sutton is out there giving up on routes. Javonte Williams, I love the, the 6th round, 7th, 8th round value that he got in fantasy. I'm excited about him, but let's be real. He's going to be extremely limited in this game. I wouldn't even touch him from a fantasy standpoint. And not to mention, this Raiders team, as bad as they've been over the past 3 years, they just own the Broncos. They've won the last 6 games in this matchup. Last year, Derek Carr struggled offensively, went into Mile High, and took care of them as well. Say what you want about Jimmy G. He knows this system. Josh McDaniels brought him over for a reason. They still have Devontae Adams. They brought back the rushing leader from last year, Josh Jacobs. He's ready to go. Brought in Jacoby Myers. I'm not crazy about this Raiders team, but the Broncos shouldn't be favored by 4 points. This is going to be a slugfest division game, low scoring, field goal game. Wouldn't be shocked if the Raiders pulled it off.
Randall, final thoughts?
Listen, Chris, you nailed it. The Raiders are frisky in Denver. This is a rivalry. This is AFC West going back to the 80s when we're talking about John Elway and the Raiders. Great point here. If you're not comfortable with the 4, and Chris, I am overly invested on Underdog Fantasy on Russell Wilson and the Broncos. You're well aware of that. So there it is, the dumpster fire. Thank you. There it is.
There goes Randall's teams.
What you could do is you could tease it up. Give the Raiders 10 if you're nervous about it, however you want. You want to tease through the 0. I know that. But, Chris, I like this. This is a very sharp pick. The Raiders always give problems at the Broncos. I'm not objective because I want to see Russell Wilson do well, so I stayed away from it. But I agree. The same concerns you have. And just by remembering the games, Raiders go to Denver, Abby. They're always going to play well.
Okay, guys, I want your final opinion on this one game that I have my eye on, solely because I am a new New York resident. Giants are here at home. Again, I love Daniel Jones, but the Cowboys, everybody's always high on America's team. What do we think of the spread on this game? Give me something quick.
3.5, I think, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but like,
Randall,
what?
take it away. Take it away if you want, Randall. If you have a strong feeling, these division games are tough.
I think I want to fade the Cowboys.
Yeah, the public always loves the Cowboys. I mean,
yeah,
I'm
fading the Cowboys
to 4.5, but I really like what the Giants did in the offseason. You know, they brought in some run stoppers. This is a team that struggled to stop the run last year, and they brought in some weapons for Daniel Jones. Like year number 2 here with Brian Daboll. I thought last year he had 1 foot out the door and he was just going to be gone. After week 1 or 2, Daboll's on the sidelines, just freaking out on him. But it turned out to be a career year for Daniel Jones. He didn't turn the ball over. He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks inside the red zone. And then they brought in a beast in Darren Waller, brought in some smaller pieces like Paris Campbell, drafted Jalen Hyatt. Still not ready to close the book on Wan'Dale Robinson. Like there's actually weapons in this offense now that they might be able to keep up to Dallas. I think the Cowboys win the game. If I had to choose, I probably would take the points with the Giants to keep this a field goal game.
Guys, interdivision game, favorite on the road. You know where I'm going. I'll take the 3.5 points with the Giants here. I agree with Daboll. Cowboys, regular season. Dak guys, we're really comfortable with Dak on the road. I'll take the Giants in 3.5 here. Like the Cowboys long term. Aaron Schatz talked about their regular season success. Here. There it is. There it is. The Giants sweatshirt.
Holy. Are you at Newtown?
It has the tag on it. I just bought it.
Is this your new squad, the Giants? Just like hockey for Tango. New Jersey Devils would be your squad.
You know what? I lied. I didn't buy this. I got it, but I picked it out. It was like all the NFL teams. What were my options? And I'm like, grew up in Charlotte. The Panthers, not it for me. Jacksonville was like a one and done year. Jets, I love Hard Knocks, but give me the Giants.
Okay, all right. You and I now have a rivalry.
This was a test. That was a test. I wanted to see what you
passed. Yeah, what would have happened if I didn't pass? And the hook, 3.5. Forget it.
Yeah, right. It's okay.
If I'm gonna pick one NFC East team, it would be the Giants over the Cowboys or the Commanders. So we'll ride together this weekend, Abby.
All right, love it. Okay, guys, great stuff from you all. Any final thoughts before we close this thing out?
No way, guys. Join us every single week here. We know week 1, some of the props are up early, but what we're going to give you is an inside scoop to the lines, the totals, the props, FTM Plus. We have all our great stuff going on here. Don't forget to check out the site. We are excited to have you join us each and every week. Come back, tell us we're right, tell us we're wrong, just tell us something.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, maybe we start doing this show here live so we can have some people hang out with us if they have any betting questions or not. I'm a big kind of weighted out prop bettor. I do like to jump in early and try to find some edges if there are, but I'll say FTNbets.com. We talked about this earlier. We have all the picks across all sports, not just NFL. We got NHL, NBA, college, basketball happening. Randall was crushing that last year. And in this package, you're going to get Aaron Schatz's amazing almanac and all the DVOA metrics that we have. And the projections are just, they're just on point. Jeff Ratcliffe was the number 1 ranker in the game a couple years ago. And his projections, if you just pair them up with the prop shop and all the numbers, you really are going to find some edges. So yeah, subscribe, FTN Network. We'll be with you on Friday giving some props and you will have all the bets, and we have the Discord channel in there included as well. So use that promo code on the bottom, FTN wins, for 10% off. So I can't wait. Football's finally here.
Right. Buckle up, guys. It's the beginning of the most wonderful time of the year. Thank you all for joining us today. We'll see you guys next week. For Mike Randle, Chris Meaney, Abby Labar here with you all on FTN Network.